The views and opinions expressed do not necessarily represent those of Access Fort Wayne, the Allen County Public Library, or any other supporting group. Access Fort Wayne is a department of the Allen County Public Library. If you or anyone you know might be interested in making a television show, please call 260-421-1250.
Hi, Dr. Rudys Kachmann. Welcome to our show today on Rudys War on diabetes. Why do I use those words? Because the diabetes causes 30 to 50 chronic illnesses. It's devastating this nation. We have an epidemic, and in the world a pandemic. But I'm totally convinced the medical profession, the government, are sort of in cahoots here. They're handing you the pills, and they're spending very little time in getting at the root of the problem and preventing it in the first place. And this is really what I'm all about. I'm pushing the envelope here, no doubt about it. But I've had this show here for over a year and a half, always about diabetes. Yet the American Diabetic Association has never come to me and said, Rudy, we'd like to speak with you on this. We'd like to say additional things. We disagree with some things. It's like I didn't even do the show. That's up to them. But this is so prevalent that parts of our population, certain racial and ethnic groups, where 90% of them are diabetic. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm very thankful, extremely grateful that the Martin Luther King Foundation recently on his birthday asked me to be one of the speakers at their convention. And I was so well received. They were so thankful. And what I heard repeatedly, Dr. Kachmann, really appreciated what you said, as we felt you were speaking the truth. And believe me, I have the science behind me. Stop me anytime and come up to me, and I get the books and information and research available that we could be diagnosing people on the path to diabetes much earlier. They wouldn't get these complications. They would be avoiding dementia, memory loss problems, blindness, loss of teeth, thyroid disease, all sorts of hormonal diseases, unannounced heart attacks, advanced vascular disease, strokes, renal transplants, liver transplants, amputations, yes, all types of skin diseases, retinal disease, sexual problems, numbness in the arms and legs, all could be avoided. So you think this is a serious problem, and I can give you it's about information. I can give you the information to avoid this the majority of the time. So I kind of think it's kind of important. But there's Rudy's good news that I gave this presentation, and I think the mayor is wrapping his arm around doing something about it. At least he's mentioned it now a few times. I left about 5 books at his office, some of which are about diabetes, and he says he's forming a health coalition to advance this program. But I hope it's not like the opioid epidemic where they all meet all the time, but not a lot is being accomplished. We still have this epidemic. I want this illness to be stopped by proper early diagnosis and proper recommendations what needs to be done. It can be done. That's Rudy's good news. we could avoid all these illnesses and diseases that I've mentioned and many more by a proper lifestyle. So let's get down to Dr. Joseph Kraft here, a book that he published in 2006. You can get it on Amazon, and very short, easy to read. A layman can read it. He did the research in the 1970s, published many papers, yes, at the University of Illinois. He was a pathologist, also certified in nuclear medicine, took a course for that, so he could run isotope studies. And he determined that serum insulin is elevated very early in the road to diabetes, 10 to 15 years before we even consider that someone might be diabetic. We're talking about mainly type 2. Type 1 is where you make no insulin, and usually a virus or bacteria does it, but they found lately that actually drinking cow's milk can do it. They've also have found that gluten problems can affect it. So other things can cause type 1 where you make no insulin, okay? But they also found out if you do early testing starting at a very young age, you could catch people on the path to type 1 because their insulin levels are dropping. That's in their body. They're hypoinsulinic. And you could perhaps change their diet, amount of exercise they're doing, and prevent people from becoming type 1. Yes, it could be done. Frequent testing, at least once a year, in children. He suggests that even in his book. And what he determined then, what you should have is a glucose tolerance test where you swallow sugar. First you get a fasting sugar, then you get a serum insulin 1 hour, 2 hour, blood sugar 1 hour, 2 hour. If you've had a glucose tolerance, a serum insulin test, many doctors have not heard of the Kraft test, but it's throughout the literature. I can show it to you. You could just Google Joseph Kraft, and he's talking on YouTube to Dr. Cummings at age 92. He's died since, but Dr. Cummings is asking, well, when do you think the medicine, the government will change and do proper testing? He says, I will be looking down on them before they change. So it's hard to change a paradigm. There's a lot of money to be made to maintain this disease. But I say, get rid of it, get rid of it, get rid of it. Because it would save people from becoming blind or sudden death or be amputated. This is a devastating disease. See, what insulin does is pushes sugar into the cell to make energy, okay? All right, our cells have on them receptors. Here's a cell, have on them receptors. It's insulin's job to open the door to the cell, but these receptors are full of triglycerides, fats that were originally made by sugar, so it's what's called insulin resistance, okay? The blood sugar may be normal because the pancreas is working like anything, pushing sugar in there for energy, but the insulin level keeps on going up, and we don't test for it. A few doctors do, but very few do. So your doctor may be resistant. You could go to the Three Rivers Pharmacy where I have orders written out, signed by me already. She'll give it to you. You can go to any test. That's by Walgreens, DuPont, for $110. You can get a glucose tolerance, and you can get an insulin tolerance test. You'll know if you're diabetic. I suggest everyone get it. Even the people who are thin, the trophies, they're thin on the outside, but they have fat around their organs on the inside. 40% of the people of normal weight, type 2 diabetic. That's in the literature, 40%. 80% of the ones that are overweight will prove to be on the road to diabetes. Don't be blind. Get the test done. Any age, even children should have it done. I've tried to get the pediatric society to change, but they're not moving. And that's up to them. They run their organizations, but I'm not stopping because I know a lot of children have diabetes, and we need to diagnose them because they'll die at a young age, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. They'll be gone. And because these illnesses are devastating. What Dr. Kraft proved too, that all vascular disease is due to elevated insulin. It starts with insulin. Insulin is what makes the hole in the endothelium, the one cell layer thick at your blood vessels, 300,000 miles of blood vessels in your body, okay? About the one cell layer endothelium, the insulin punches a hole in the endothelium, and then the cholesterol, the LDL, comes in. It forms the atheroma disease. It doesn't start with atheroma disease. It starts with a hole in the intima done by insulin because it inflamed the vasculature. That was very well proven by a paper I recently found, published after Dr. Kraft, a very extensive paper. I had it reprinted at the public library. Quincy, I think was her name, published this paper and agreed totally with all that. Metabolic syndrome, which you hear commonly as being the road to diabetes, an elevated LDL, bigger waist, high blood pressure, about 4 or 5 things, then put insulin resistance in the crosshairs, okay? Syndrome X, metabolic syndrome, Raven syndrome, and everybody's thinking, well, the Raven syndrome is what leads to the diagnosis. Dr. Kraft's work was published before the Raven syndrome, and I did not find a great deal of reference from Dr. Raven to Dr. Kraft, which concerns you a little bit, but maybe it's there and I didn't find it, so I'm not saying that's exactly a fact. But Kraft described this before. The first person, he did 3,000 autopsies, studied 14,000 people in Illinois, well published, well respected. So the Kraft test is first, then we can come with the metabolic syndrome on the road. But the sooner we catch your disease, what Dr. Kraft would call in situ, I-N-S-I-T-U, in situ, where just the cellular membranes change, we can catch you very early. We could avoid all these diseases. That's why I am so absolute passionate about this. These hospitals would be half empty at least, maybe more, because these diseases could be prevented and reversed. And our hospitals, our government should jump on this. Public health should be screaming with this. But I think there's cognitive dissonance out there. But I'll keep on pushing. It doesn't stop me. So now I'm going to teach preventing stopping and bursting at the neighborhood health clinic. I think that deal is almost done, which the Martin Luther King deal brought me to. Ashley Zillow, she is in charge. A wonderful woman is in charge of the public health, the neighborhood health clinics, which is huge there by the Oyster Bar, huge. And also I went to another center on the Paulding Road, that's Airport Road, connected to a church, the Impact Center. And they want me to teach wellness, diabetes prevention, reversal there on a regular basis. The building isn't done yet, but it looks to me like I think I will be teaching there. On Tuesday, I'm meeting with Dr. Coates in his office, and he may want me to teach it there. I still teach at the pharmacy. So we are penetrating the community. We're penetrating the community. And I'll be here like Martin Luther King. Nothing will stop us. It'll be gentle force. It's Rudys War. But bullets are information. Information and love. And we'll be dancing and singing songs and giving out information. But I had to pick a strong word here because we've been touching this issue like the opioid epidemic, they're just touching the issue. If they really wanted to make a major advance, I'd begin by making a new definition for pain. You can't just go to the emergency room of the doctor's office, say I hurt, and bango, we start with narcotics. That isn't the whole problem. It's bigger than that. But that was the beginning of it. It's still part of it. That is, all the agencies dealing with the opioid epidemic, they're all having nice meetings, and they're getting a little bit done. But if they want to really go at it, they begin as who's writing the scripts. I begin with that. And a lot of the crime we're seeing in the city, I talked to a policeman the other day. The lady, police officer, very nice. I met at Rotary. She's saying it's because the people that sell the drugs, the people weren't buying it, the guys wouldn't be selling it. It's a tremendous effect on crime, okay? So you have to be open-minded here to pass this along. So proper testing, I strongly suggest to you. And I think I would Medicaid, Medicare, if it's ordered for the proper reasons, will pay for those tests. If not, come to the pharmacy and we'll work at it with you. But I want that you have these tests on a yearly basis if you're not diagnosed yearly, because if it arises, you catch it early, you can avoid a tremendous amount of other tests you could run. Is find out if there's any inflammation growing in your body. A CRP, I think, is a good one. A state of your pancreas. It looks like you got diabetes. To get a C-peptide test, that tells you if the pancreas is dead or alive. Because if you eat the right diet, exercise regularly, you can reverse diabetes. 6 weeks, 90% of the time. That's why it's so important. As a matter of fact, Dr. Hyman would say, is that the blood sugars may become normal within a week. And the reason is that your gut, your biome, those bacteria, those 30 trillion bacteria that live in there, their lifespan, 8 hours. So if you're changing what you're eating, they're going to be different guys sitting there pretty darn quick. And the mucosa that covers your gut, 1 centimeter thick, lifespan 24 hours. So you can change your biome pretty quickly. So by eating food, if you're diabetic, your blood sugars will drop quickly. Test more frequently. Let your doctor know what you're doing. I'm eating right. I want to get rid of my diabetes. I'm just not going to take the medications. Now, insulin is prescribed a lot to save some lives, but there's a problem with that. Insulin does many more things than put sugar into the cell. It's anabolic. It'll make you fat because insulin will push sugar into the cell for energy, and we just spoke about that. It also opens the cell and lets fat in. So instance, anabolic makes you fat, yet it can save your life. If you have totally dead pancreas, you need it. But most people who take it don't have a dead pancreas. And the C-peptide test will tell you the state of it. If it's a 4, it's good. If it's 2, it's dead. But most of the time, it's reversible. Give it a chance. Give it a chance. Remember, I said it's quick. It's quick. So you can avoid these chronic diseases. So C-peptide, CRP is important. And you get the blood pressure checked, of course. Actually, a very accurate test is a belly measurement. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a belly. Your belly is bigger than your hips. Odds are you got diabetes. If you have a pot belly, odds are you're diabetic. But not everyone is overweight is diabetic. If the fat is under the skin, it's not metabolic. It's fat that's around the organs, which you can easily see in a CT. Around the organs, that makes cytokines. It's inflammatory. It's almost a gland. People think that fats wrap around your organs is a glandular structure. People with that are more likely to have cancer, for example. Insulin, because it causes growth of cells, it will increase the rates of cancer too. Makes the arteries stiff, increase rates of cancer. Also increase dementia. a paper was recently published, you'll find this fascinating, is that there's an enzyme, insulin degrading enzyme, IDE. It degrades. Now your insulin levels are elevated because you're diabetic, and this IDE enzyme has to get rid of that. That's its job. But it's all used up getting rid of the raised insulin, and it has one other job, to get rid of amyloid, which causes Alzheimer's disease. That's why diabetics, it's not the only reason, but that's one of the reasons that diabetics develop dementia and Alzheimer's disease, 50 to 70% of dementia and Alzheimer's disease could be avoided. Opportunity, 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 and the government and the drug companies don't concentrate on that. If they did, this horrible, horrible disease could be severely reduced. I know that for a fact. I can get you to read the books that are in my library. So I think you have to take that to heart. And I've got to be proud of the Martin Luther King community. I didn't ask them to speak on diabetes. They asked me to speak on it. That means they recognize something going on here, and have passed out the information here. Some other excellent books have been written, and I just throw them out there. Although, suppose you're a person doesn't like to read books at all. Okay, that happens. I'm not judgmental on that. In the end, it's the type of food you eat that will determine this 90% of the time, the type of food. Yeah. And Dr. Furman wrote a book called Eat to Live, Quick Fix Cookbook. I'll hold that up right here. If you were to eat only out of this, what it says, it's a picture of the food and the recipe, including breakfast, lunch, dinner, desserts, smoothies, everything in there. You do that for 6 to 8 weeks, you will not have diabetes. I'll say it straight out forward. It's a fact. I can open up any page in that book, and it'll be something. Look at this. Green bean salad with lemon basil vinaigrette. Perfect meal. I can just always open it up and come to something. I recommend smoothies too a little bit because it's full of vitamins, minerals, and phytochemicals. They're on the machinery of your body, and it satisfies your appetite. So a smoothie in the morning I recommend, but check your blood sugar if you're diabetic. If you're not diabetic, don't worry about it. But maybe raise your blood sugar a little bit, I don't know. May not, because most of the things you put in there are not high-dense sugary foods, but all vegetables have some sugar in them, a little bit, okay? And so it does have some value. I also recommend when you get a blood testing done, that you get your glomerular filtration rate. Get the kidney test done. They do the creatine, and albumin, and the glomerular filtration rate, and that's how quickly, how thoroughly your kidneys can screen your urine. I think it's important because if there's 5 stages, okay? 5, you're going to get a new kidney. 4, they can still dialyze you. 4 and 5, you can still dialyze you. If you were at stage 2, that's where things start getting off a little bit. 2, 3, and 4. If you were to eat a low protein and an alkaline type diet, not acidic type diet, you can stabilize the kidney disease or reverse it a little bit too. And some have reversed it severely. I finished reading a book just that thick. It only cost me $19, to my surprise. We're a patient, Lee Hull, come down with kidney disease, and he decided to research the field, and it's full of references. He was able to stabilize this disease and reverse it a bit and get other people's stories, and they reversed it a lot. If you don't, it'll just continue till, they take your kidneys and you got to get new kidneys. People are on dialysis that long, some up to 5 years, but many a year or two. Some die in the meanwhile. So know the state of, especially the diagnosis with diabetic, find out the stage of your kidneys, because you can stop the disease, reverse the disease. The book is End of Diabetes by Lee Hull. Well written, very scientific. Good one to have a look at. I'm glad I brought that up about getting that test done. Also, End of Diabetes by Dr. Joel Fuhrman. Excellent book written. And actually, my name's in the back of this book. I don't make any money for anybody buying this book. I just reviewed it, and I was honored to have my name on it. My name's on the hard copy. The soft copy, my name isn't on there, but the hard copy, we sold, I think, 2 million or so. And I'm happy to claim Dr. Fuhrman as my friend. He's world internationally famous. I beat him at tennis last time we saw each other, though, and he said he's coming back to town and giving another try, maybe within a year. It's a true story. He's an Olympic skating athlete, so, I'm kind of a little proud of that. And considering our age difference, over 20 years at least, him being younger. And a great book to read. And what he comes right down to, eating nutrient-dense foods of color, or your mother, 70-80% of the time. He didn't say no meat, but your kidney disease, you don't want to eat a lot of that. But some turkey, some dry chicken here and there, organically raised, for example. And so to probably get rid of diabetes very quickly, but you want to be focused on plant foods. Exercise, you don't have to necessarily even join a gym. You just take a walk every day, okay? Or take tap dancing with me. But a walk in nature, a walk. And a good way to walk is I do 10 steps regular walking, then 20 steps a little faster, and then as fast as I can till you hit 100. But not running, always stepping. So that's high intensity intermittent training. You do that, all the exercise you need. And another good book to have a look at is Russ Youngberg, Goodbye Diabetes. He went to the island of Guam, and the Japanese had flattened the island. These beautiful natives used to eat fish and vegetables, and they looked like movie stars. I've seen pictures of them. But after the Japanese flattened them, we brought in American food and Spam, and the whole island, the people went like that. 90% above diabetes, and he went in there for 15 years to try to turn it around. He did certainly have success there, and a good book to read too, Goodbye Diabetes. But I like Dr. Fuhrman's book, frankly, the best. And don't be afraid of eating some fat, as long as they're good fats, nuts and guacamole and olives, because when you're in fat metabolism, you are not in sugar metabolism, and then insulin is not secreted. Remember, insulin does a lot of other things, so don't be afraid of good fats. Okay, some good fats, plant-based diet, good fats, you can get rid of your diabetes. It's not hard. That's the beauty. That's the beauty. So I want you to join my war. I want you to join my army. Okay, give me a hug and encourage people. Get tested. Go see Dr. Kachmann. I see people at the Three Rivers Pharmacy for free. What do you want? For free every Friday morning, and it'll be another day, and I'm expanding to other clinics. So, anyway, I love you. That's why I'm doing this. All the counseling I do for nothing. Look at my YouTube shows. 1,000 of them probably. If you said diabetes, it'll segregate them for you. Also FM 95.6. Read the books. Come to our lectures. We're going to get over this. We're going to win this war. Namaste. Thanks for watching.